Okay, I think we are live now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our last dialogue with new directors with this year's youth jury. My name is Valentina, and I'm one of the co-directors of the festival. And I will be assisting with translation along with Daniela from the staff as needed. We are joined today by Mauricio Calderon Rico, who is the director of All the Fires, as well as the youth jury, which is coordinated by Ana Tonso. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the territory that this festival takes place on, which is the ancestral, unceded, and traditional lands of the Hunkaminam-speaking Musqueam and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, and the Squamish-Nichim-speaking Squamish First Nation. We believe at our festival that having access to the languages of our cultures and our ancestors allows us to be connected to our cultures. And at VLAF, we couldn't be prouder to showcase over 11 different languages from the region that is now known as Latin America. We hope that you can join us for the screening of All the Fires, which is taking place on Monday, September 9th at 8:15 at the Cinematheque. Our 22nd edition runs from September 5 to the 15th in multiple cinemas in downtown Vancouver, so check out our full lineup at vlaf.org. We would also like to take a moment to thank our funders, Canada Council for the Arts, British Columbia Arts Council, City of Vancouver, Telefilm, Creative BC, STIR, and Canadian Heritage. And now I will pass it on to Ana. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here.
Thank you, Valen. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. My name is Anna. I'm the Youth Jury Coordinator here at BLAF, one of the many beautiful elements of this festival. The Youth Jury is coordinated by the selection of 22 Latin American film students from across the globe, but mainly Latin American Canada, who join us both online and in person for activities and discussions such as these dialogues with directors of the New Directors in Competition section of our festival. Our amazing 2024 Youth Jury cohort will be in charge of delivering the Youth Choice Awards for the Best New Director competition by the end of our 22nd edition. We have Mauricio Calderon Rico here with us today from Mexico. He is the director of Todos los Incendios, All the Fires, one of the 7 films in this section, a film that follows the story and experience of a pyromaniac teenager through a journey of adventure that leads them to the road of self-discovery. So we're very happy to have you here, Mauricio, today. I would like to start off the round of questions. I read your director's statement, and I wanted to ask you about you said this was sort of an autobiographical project in some way. So I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, well, I hope you understand. Maybe my English isn't that good, but I'm gonna do my best. Well, first of all, I'm very thankful to be part of this great festival. I mean, I've heard a lot of about it, and it's I'm very honored to now be part of it in this year edition. I would love to be there, but well, unfortunately, I can't travel this year. I went in 2023 on vacations, and I really enjoyed the trip. It's beautiful there, but well, maybe in the future. But well, I'm here to answer all the questions, all of your I don't know, to talk about how we made this film, and regard your question. Well, yes, it's not at all autobiographical, but like 1/3 of the film, because I also wanted to talk about something a friend passed through, and the other 1/3 is like a fiction. Personally, well, I lost my father. I lived all this new romance of my mother, my own sexual awakening, to be part of the LGBT community, and all this. It's like the real autobiographical part. I myself, I'm not an arsonist, but I've always had like this relationship, fear and love with fire. So fire was one of the first elements I want to talk about. This is my thesis of a master in screenplay that I took here in Mexico City. and well, this is all the fires.
All right, thank you for that, Mauricio. We're gonna go now to our youth jury. We're gonna start off with Frida.
Yeah. Hi, Mauricio. Thank you so much for your film. I really like it. And I think it's really necessary to talk about these kind of themes because I think the dynamic between Bruno and Danny not only reflects the complexity of adolescence, but also the tensions that arise in conservative environments where traditional norms of gender and sexuality are so important. I think Dani, by pretending to be in a relationship with Bruno to protect herself from her father's lesbophobia, represents many, many young people who are forced to hide their true identity. So my question is, what challenge did you face in telling this story of sexual diversity in a complex context in the north of Mexico? Because we know the north of Mexico is really, really complicated with these kind of themes. So yeah, this is my question, and again, congratulations.
Thank you very much. There are really nice words you said about the film. Well, one challenge we faced is that when I already had finished the script, I thought that these characters belong to another time, not actual times. So what we felt is that they belong to a certain year, more or less 2008, because right now the diversity it's now more open in Mexico, and in 2008 it weren't like that. It wasn't like that. So we moved our production to be like those years, and that was a challenge we have because we don't have a lot of money, but we try to do a certain time of film. So what other challenge did we have? Well, it was a challenge, but not that difficult because the actors that play the lead parts are very, very good actors and actresses. So it was a challenge that I enjoyed a lot. But we have a lot of rehearsals, and we had a lot of talks about the characters and how they should be and what would they wear. And some of them put their names of the character, for example. It was a very nice construction of the character. So I think that was the challenge in this stage of the production. Thank you.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Frida. Up next, we have Nuria.
Hi, Mauricio. A pleasure to meet you. I wanted to ask, maybe my question is a little bit connected to Frida's, but I've been thinking a lot about, and I'm kind of fascinated with the fact that most of the movie happens in Durango, and that there's a queer sexual awakening in Durango. It kind of amazes me, at least as a queer person living outside of Mexico City. It's pretty refreshing to watch a movie happening outside of the big city. And I kind of really enjoy that. For example, he discovers the word queer in Durango, which it's really weird and amazing, and particularly because Bruno is from Mexico City, so that kind of blows my mind. So I guess I wanted to ask you why Durango, and how do you believe this territory is in dialogue with this queer awakening, or what's the relationship particular to this territory?
Well, thank you very much for your words. Well, originally in the screenplay, I wrote that he went to Guadalajara, but my producers and my all team members, I'm part of the Colectivo Colmena, that it's like this audiovisual collective, and they all thought that it's odd he goes from this big city to another big city, so it doesn't make much sense. So we wanted to go to a little city so he could be free there. It's like something ironic, because in reality it could be you went from a little city to a big city, but we want to be like this ironic and sarcastic thing. But so my co-producers said to me, why we go to a little city, a nice city in Mexico? And I started thinking which city would be the ideal. At that time, I was working in this little school that was a fantastic school about direction in film, about, well, filmmaking and all this stuff. The name of the school was Dolores del Rio, and it's closed now, but it lasted like 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and I was teaching there, like a course about film history and appreciation of film and all that. So I had the opportunity to know the city. I really like the skies. I really like the countryside. So I thought it was a very good idea that we filmed there. So that's why we well, that's why the film is in Durango. Then later I knew the train, well, the old train station, and the downtown, and the mountains and all this stuff. So I thought it was a good idea to film there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Nuria. Up next, we have Azul.
Hello. Thank you so much for coming here. Thank you so much for your film. It was very refreshing. My question is going to be more about, well, the process of working with the actors and about the script mostly. If you can tell me a little bit about that, that would be great.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Well, we started the pre-production during the pandemic, so we didn't have like this approach of the actors one-to-one. We had a cast director whose name is Rocio Belmont. She's a very fine cast director, and she sent me a lot of videos of young actors and actresses, about 100 maybe. So in my computer, I saw them, and we selected like, I don't know, like 10 or 15 for each character. And from there, we made a callback in our offices for all those characters. And then with the 4 we like the most, we made like a little workshop. We can say a little workshop in our offices. In this workshop, we had like this exercise of acting, exercise of I don't know, meditation. We played. We did like physical exercises, but we really bond. We were only at the time like four actors and actresses, and we the ones that you see on the film are the final selection, and we are very pleased with the selection, with the final selection, because we think they are great promises in the world of acting. Our lead protagonist won the best actor in Morelia Film Festival, and I think he's a very good actor. I mean, for me, it wasn't like very difficult to direct them. Maybe because of this workshop that we had 2 weeks prior filming, but it was not that difficult to direct these kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Azul. Up next, we have Francis and Kabil.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Hi, thanks so much for sharing your film. We really enjoyed watching it. It was also, I think, like the first film in the selection that we've seen that have been like very like queer focused and oriented. So that was really nice to see that. My question was about your relationship with a cinematographer. I feel like there was a lot of really like striking visuals, like in the tunnels, the fire, the kitchen. And so I was wondering what your dynamic was like with your cinematographer from the start till the end.
Yes, well, thank you very much. My cinephotographer is Miguel Escudero. He's from the Centro de Capacitación Cinematográfica, CCC, here in Mexico City. He's a very good cinematographer, very well. I almost that the final script of the movie, I wrote it with him, because he's very good in giving ideas. He proposes a lot. We did together like this shooting list, and we made storyboards and all this stuff. He likes very much the darkness. I joke with him that he's like the Prince of Darkness. I told him that, but I really like his style. He proposed the aspect ratio, that it's not that 4:3, but it's a little wider. He created it, and also I was talking with him about that I needed something more a reason more important to use this aspect ratio to be more justified. I mean, maybe because Bruno's the protagonist using this little handy cam, and so it has this aspect ratio. But he ultimately said to me, we can use it because it looks good, because aesthetically looks nice. You don't have to be like that, I don't know, stubborn to have like this really good reason to use it, other than it looks nice. And I went with that feeling. I went with that idea of him. But I really liked his work. He's been the cinematographer of the 3 picture, well, the 3 feature films of Colectivo Colmena, which are Monstruo, Todos los Incendios, All the Fires, and Lumbrensueño, Fire Dream. Those are the 3 feature films of the Colectivo Colmena, and the 3 of them are photography by Miguel.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is
Gracias.
Gabriel, and I also love the movie. It was very beautiful. But I saw it kind of in an interview that you talk a little bit about how you kind of wanted to explore masculinities and different types of masculinities. And I feel like I really saw that through the movie, the different types of masculinities, from like the main character to the friend to Daniela's dad and all of that. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about more, and also in relation to Daniela and how it's kind of like almost like a queer allyship between them and how masculinity comes into that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I based my own experiences, my own masculinity maybe, because when I was like growing up, I had like this very masculine universe, like the soccer and the friends and the parties. So for me, it was very difficult, like coming out, and I wanted that Bruno had this universe also. Because maybe when you have like another I don't know, you like another things, and it's easier for you maybe to come out, another type of friends, another type of, I don't know, relationships. But when you have like this very, very hard to break universe of masculinity, it's complicated. Also, maybe you notice that this phrase that Daniela says, that es mejor, mi papá, que le dice, mi papá prefiere que sea una puta que sea lesbiana. My dad prefers that I'm a whore than a lesbian. It's something that went through a friend. It's not that I invented the phrase, but it happened in reality. So the Mexican society at that time was very closed, and also in little towns, in little cities outside Mexico City, it's still like that. So this film is also a little effort to remove the consciousness about new masculinities. So I hope we do something about it. We did something about it. I like to think. Thank you.
Personally, thank you.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Francis and Kabil, for your question. Up next, we have Nicolas Yanten.
Hi, Mauricio. Thank you so much for your film and for being here. I actually wanted to ask you about working with the actors, but you already answered that. So I was curious because you said earlier that this film is like your script thesis. So I'm really curious about that, all the process of working in the character's arc, the story for a thesis. If you could talk more about that, but especially working in the character's arc, because I found Bruno a really complex character. So I really love that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, the process of writing this screenplay, it was a very long one, because I did that thesis in 2016. So it's a thesis that I wrote and I put away in my bureau. So, but later I bring it out to enter into a contest, a screenwriting contest, where surprisingly I won the first place, and with that money I went to Sine Qua Non Lab. That is a very prestigious lab of screenwriting lab. And there, my screenplay went up because they helped me a lot. I had a lot of revisions there, also with my peers. We had like, well, I said before, I'm part of the Colectivo Colmena, and there we have like this thing called Colmena Lab, where we read each other's screenplays, and it's a very constructive and inspiring thing we do. I think talking more about specifically your question, I had troubles with the point of view of the character because I like very much these choral movies where you have a lot of characters and you see how the character development of them. But in this case, I had like I had to put a lot of effort to not to went away from the point of view of Bruno, because he's the lead character and the most important character of the film. So if you notice, I think there's only one scene where Bruno isn't, and it is when Daniela discovers this little heart made of matches in her room. And it's the only scene I think it's not Bruno in the screen. So when I first wrote the screenplay, the mother had a bigger part. We had scenes with her alone and with the boyfriend, and then in early treatments, he went with like a psychologist, and we had these long scenes with the psychologist and Bruno, and what other things. There were another scenes that we also filmed, but took away in the final cut, where Bruno and Gerardo, the mother's boyfriend, had like this long talk in a Chinese coffee bar, and they bury the hatchet, and well, so you have to make a lot of work antes de filmar, ¿no? How do you say antes? I forgot. Before you film, yes. So, but one thing I learned is that it's very, very, very important that your peers and the people you trust read your screenplays. Because, well, in my case, I don't think I'm like a genius or something. I really, really have to work a lot, and that many people read my work, and because I'm also a little bit insecure about my own work. So it's very, very important that you lend your work to the others. I hope this helps.
Yes, thank you so much. I think sexual awakening films or reawakening films are very important, especially in Latin America. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Also, something I forgot to tell is that we wanted to do this queer film without being like hyper sexualized, because I mean, I don't have anything against hypersexual content. I also like it, but I think this movie it's something different.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Nicolas. Up next, we have Ricardo.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Mauricio. Thank you for being here with us. I I wanted to ask you because I was really imagining that we were going to have a tragic ending in this film. Because, I mean, it's about prejudice and there was fire all around. So I was wondering, something's going to happen with this fire. I mean, it did with the hand. Sorry, it was silent until now. So something happened with his hand, all right? But I was thinking that it was going to be something more like tragic in this sense. So I was just wondering if you had, and but I'm glad it wasn't. So I'm wondering if you had other drafts of the script where there was a tragic ending regarding fire. And in this case, what do you think would be the difference in the message that you are conveying with your film if we had a tragic ending? And sorry, also inside this question, what would you say is the symbol of the fire in this film? What it represents, more or less?
Well, answering first the last question, I think the fire is like a metaphor of the change of Bruno throughout the film. It's like he's burning slowly. He's like cooking slowly. So it's like this metaphor of his change, all this fire. And talking about the tragic ending, since the beginning, I didn't want to tell like these tragic things. I really like dramedies, for example. I mean, I know this isn't a dramedy, but I like not to be that dense. Also with the coming of age stories, no. I think they can be lighter. They can be like luminous films, luminous endings. I mean, in this ending, we see that maybe he didn't stop burning things because of the final match he lights. But since the beginning, I didn't want to be like a tragic ending. I didn't have, well, in early treatments, I didn't have anything tragic also. But what could be tragic? I don't know. Maybe it's a little sad that he didn't have anything to do anymore with the character of Ian, for example. But I mean, nobody dies, so I think it's a nice ending. Because maybe the message when you do a tragic film with LGBT themes, it's like sending a message that something's wrong. I don't know. For example, now we are two friends and me, one of them being a woman. We are writing something with lesbian characters, and she's very, for her, it's very important that nobody dies and nothing tragic happens, because we are like tired that the LGBT character suffers a lot. So why don't we have like these movies where, yes, they have difficulties throughout the film, but nobody has to die or to suffer a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Ricardo. Up next, we have Diego.
Hola Mauricio, I'm gonna do it in Spanish and then in English. Hola Mauricio, soy de México también. Muchas gracias por tu película. Yo soy de Tlaxcala y siento que tienes mucha razón con cómo hablas de cómo las pequeñas ciudades identifican la masculinidad y la actitud hacia ella. Entonces me alegra mucho que hables de eso porque yo me sentí muy identificado. Sí, solo te quería preguntar sobre el tono de la película. Siento que a veces es muy opresivo, como muy tensa, pero luego a veces en esa tensión hay como algo de humor. Y luego tiene momentos muy bonitos, por ejemplo, el momento en el que Daniela y Bruno están explotando, no sé bien qué era, alcohol, creo. es un momento muy bonito. Y me preguntaba cómo capturaste eso, más el periodo de tiempo que es como, me imagino, como 2005, 2000, por ahí, ¿cómo fue ese proceso para ti? Now I'm gonna ask it in English. um, yeah, I'm from Tlaxcala, and you're very right about the attitude small towns have towards masculinity. I wanted to ask about the tone of the movie. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's very calm, but overall it has this oppressive, somewhat tense vibe. But within that tension, there's also a little bit of funny moments and a bit of very beautiful moments, like Bruno and Daniela exploding cans in the desert. And how did you achieve this vibe combined with capturing this 2000s, early 2000s time period? How was that for you?
Well, yes, I think it is a work also with my editor, who is Marlene Rios Farhat. She's a very fine editor that helped me a lot to manage the tone of the film, because maybe we came from a very dark scene to a very funny scene that we gotta have this balance throughout the film. So I think she did a very nice work. I'm very happy with the editing of the movie. And when you are like writing, I don't know, in my case, for example, I don't purposely say, okay, I want to write something funny or I want to write something dramatic, but I think life is like it is. Maybe you are, maybe in your most depressing and sad moment, your best friend comes and tells you a joke and you laugh. So that's the stories I kind of like they are very naturalist, very real. So that's like the tone I like in movies. And well, the movie is in 2008. It's located in that time. And it wasn't that difficult because, well, maybe for you it's a lot of time because you are very young, but for someone my age, it's not like that long. We really don't suffer to get like clothes and like all this stuff, that all this electronic stuff. It wasn't very difficult to get, no, the tiny phones, cell phones, and the old computers and all this stuff. It was more or less easy to recreate the 2008. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Mauricio. Thank you.
Gracias a ti.
Thank you, Mauricio, for that. Up next, we have Ximena.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here. I really liked your movie. It get me thinking about a lot of things during all the film. I'm from Mexico City as well, and then when Bruno just like went to Durango, I was just like a little bit afraid for him because of security. But I was wondering just if you imagine like the future for Bruno after he came back from Durango to Mexico and he kind of realized what his preferences are. I don't know if you kind of imagine like what is coming up next for him, or like, yeah, so just curious.
Oh. Thank you very much. Well, obviously we don't get to see these things on the film, but we screenwriters and directors like to write like a full biography of the characters. So what I think of Bruno, of Bruno's destiny is that he continues to use fire, but in a good way. Like he starts to make art with fire, or maybe something in the kitchen, like he likes to cook, or I don't know, something that that has to do with fire, but in a good way, no? And also about his sexual preferences, I think he's like mostly a bi character, because he's like exploring like all these options, and he's like a pansexual maybe kind of person. So that's like the future I see in Bruno's path.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so
No,
much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Also, I
Mauricio.
wanted to say,
Sorry.
Talking with Jimena reminds me, well, because she's from Mexico City, that we filmed in a very historical building that is Tlatelolco. This is a group of buildings, and in 1968 it was like a very, very important building, because there was like a killing of many students there. But we felt that vibe, very important vibe, while we were filming.
Thank you, Mauricio. Sorry for the interruption. Up next, we have Diego with another question.
Ya te voy a molestar otra vez. No, it's just related to what you were talking about Bruno kind of being pansexual, and like this idea of like he's exploring right now. You have a cast that is predominantly made up of really, really young people, very talented people. I guess I'm wondering how that conversation went with the four that jumped to me are Ian, Bruno, Daniela, Sara, creo que se llama la amiga. How was and these four have very not intense, but very intimate scenes with each other, and very confusing scenes with each other. How was the process of not only casting them, but also explaining to them the intricacies of that for their characters? How was that direction process for you?
Well, we had like the fortune to get these four actors. They all were 18 years old when we filmed, but they look younger, like 15 or 16 years old. But in reality, they have a 18-year-old, which is like they are. I don't know how you say in English.
Of age. Yeah, they're of age.
Yes. So we want to avoid like legal matters, and because if they were minors, they will have to be with their parents all the days of of filming. So we decided to go with young people that look younger. So they don't have any trouble with the themes. I mean, we are the movie filmed in 2022. So young people that age, like you, they are very open of this diversity. I am very I don't know, respectful about this stuff. I never ask them their sexual preference or something like that. I don't get into those themes, but I know they are LGBT friendly, all of the actors and the actresses, because they wouldn't be in the movie if they weren't. So they are very open and very happy to be part of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Diego. Up next, we have Nicolas Yanten.
Well, earlier you said about the decision of shoot this film, well, in the story in 2008. And I also love revisiting another years of the past because I personally think that, as you said, if we filmed the things in the present, some themes are not as strong as it would be in the past. So why do you think it's important revisiting the past? Because directors have said that we have to focus on the present, we don't have to visit the past or the future. So what do you think is the importance of revisiting another years? Thank you.
Well, I think regarding LGBT stories, it's important to tell stories that didn't were told. I don't know, and maybe I mean we in my collective in Colectivo Colmena, we don't have like this a lot of money, but we made independent movies. But I think when we had like the opportunity to have more budget, I would like personally to talk about stories that wasn't told because of homophobia and all this stuff. So I don't know, maybe it's like making justice for people that live that stories. And I don't know, maybe I like to tell those stories.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicolas. Up next, we have Azul.
Hi again.
Hello.
I don't know if we talk about it, but I was very intrigued. How did you film a lot of the fire? Because like how was this the set prepare or the team prepare for that kind of yeah.
Well, first of all, we contact a very prestigious man that do all this stuff. His name is Josh, and he's very known here in Mexico. He does all this stuff with fire for movies, and everything you see is controlled. For example, the scene in the desert that they are like in this mountain, it's all planned. He used like this how do you say mangueras? Yes, with
Hoses?
gas. Yes, these hoses with gas, and when I said action, they start, and when I said cut, they died. So everything is controlled. It's these hoses, and he get like an Ariel nomination for this movie in special effects. And the Ariel prize is like the Mexican Oscar, and he get this nomination for all his fire stuff. But everything is controlled.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So it's good to know that. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we didn't like to like put on fire plants or anything of the environment. Everything
Yeah.
was very controlled. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Azul. Up next, we have Ximena.
Hello again.
Hello.
I just like to know a little bit more about how do you use the fire as a symbolism? Like I got that probably the fire, not just like the flame itself, it's more about like a representation of some feelings that the characters are feeling or like I don't know if you would like to talk a little bit more about that
Yes.
and like
Well,
why fire.
yes. Well, I don't know. Maybe my relationship with fire started when I was a little kid. Well, not that little, like 10 years old. They were always like these bullies in my school, and one day they put fire in my ass, and they tried to burn my pants. So like from there, I had this love and hate relationship with fire. But well, the trauma with Bruno and the fire is because I don't know if you remember these scenes that it's like fire in like a little space. It's because of the cremation of his father. It's when he gets this trauma about fire. Also, I remember that my father was cremated, but you never get to see how he burns. So maybe what you don't see becomes more powerful with imagination. So me and Bruno have this trauma with the cremating of the father, and so it starts like this relationship with fire. And like I said before, like this is like the metaphor of change of the character. And also my father collected these matches for every place he went, and I had this also this thing with all the matches. And I don't know, it was like a very organically thing for me, all this fire, because also it's like Bruno had to get out of his system what he's feeling, so he gets it through the fire also. Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Ximena. We're going to go with Nuria now, and I think that's our last question for today.
Hi again, Mauricio. Yo voy a aplicar la de Diego y voy a hacer primero mi pregunta en español porque
Sí,
creo
gracias.
que quiero atar como algunas cosas que has compartido hasta ahora. Como me llama la atención esto que comentas, como de revisitar el pasado, como para contar las historias que no se han contado. Y en ese sentido, como quería preguntarte, ¿no? Como porque a veces como en muchas formas como de narrar historias sobre la comunidad LGBT hay como esa tendencia a la tragedia que ya también platicaste, y particularmente como en el documental, ¿no? O en los proyectos que aspiran como a este rigor documental, o hacer como trabajos como de memoria muy específicos, donde incluso hasta la propia gente espera, como tú como persona LGBT, artista LGBT, tienes que como narrarte desde ahí, ¿no? Entonces, al revisitar como estas historias, pienso que desde la ficción, ¿no? Por esta película, como qué potencial encuentras para trastocar, ¿no? Como esa expectativa de una onda trágica, y también porque pienso que en la ficción, pues hay mucho, es una herramienta al final como de imaginación, ¿no? Que pues nunca hemos, o no es que nunca, ¿no? Pero hasta hace muy poco teníamos como a nuestra disposición. Entonces, eso, ¿no? Como tú, cómo trabajas con todas esas cosas al mismo tiempo. Ajá, ¿cuál sería tu perspectiva sobre eso? Y ahora va a ser en inglés. So I was thinking about how you shared about working with the stories from the past that weren't told because of oppression and homophobia, transphobia, lesbophobia, and how sometimes in more strictly documentary projects, there's a tendency to talk about tragedy like you shared with some of my colleagues from the jury. And I guess I wanted to ask you, how do you work with fiction to dislocate this tendency to work around tragedy when dealing with stories from the past?
Well, I am very respectful about documentary because I mean, in fiction you create all the universe. I mean, I created Bruno's universe entirely. It is based in something I lived. It's based in something a friend went through, but finally, all the universe is created by me. In documentary, you have to play with a universe that exists. I don't know, it's very difficult, but you have like be the objective. I think it's almost impossible because we all have like eyes and we all have a mind. So it's very difficult to be objective, but you have to try. So I think like kids do fiction and adults do documentary. I myself, I'm a kid. So, but I would love to do documentary one day because I also love to see them. I enjoy them, but I think like, wow, only geniuses do documentary because you have to enter like a place that it exists. And as you say, a lot of LGBT stories and a lot of LGBT documentaries are tragic. And maybe in fiction, we can handle these stories to be lighter, to have a happy ending, to be a luminous story. So I also would love to adapt some novels and make them feature films. But I'm still looking which story I should adapt. So I also would love to talk about people I know in some documentary, some stories that took place in the past. And it's cheaper to do a documentary. No, I mean, you talk about, I don't know, 70s, 80s gay movement. Of course, if you do a fiction, you will have to spend a lot of money. But if you do a documentary, maybe you can spend money only in pictures and, I don't know, videos and all that stuff. But I really would like to continue to tell stories that are silenced now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mauricio. I think that's all the time we have for today. But thank you for joining us here. Thank to all our youth jury for their amazing questions. This was our last dialogue, so we're very excited to have made it here. And thanks again for being here, for sending your film to the festival. Everyone is going to love it.
Thank you very much. And well, I hope I see you again in another festival or in Vancouver or here in Mexico.
You should come meet the festival someday. You will love it.
I would love to, if you can follow Colectivo Colmena in Instagram. It's Colectivo Colmena. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mauricio. I don't know if Valen is around here to... Yes, there she is.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much. Thank you for such a wonderful dialogue. And thank you to our youth jury for all 7 incredible conversations. I hope that you can join us for the screening of All the Fires on Monday, September 9th at 8:15 at the Cinematheque. And I hope you'll have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ay, qué bello.
Okay. I think the director, yes, he's not here anymore. Okay, everyone.